Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new series on Lots of Thoughts, a sports podcast YouTube channel. I'm trying to introduce this to maybe encourage more content flow, just because podcast episodes can take a lot of effort to get out there, 40-minute podcast episode. And so I wanted to just be able to hop on and make a 5 to 10 minute video on something I wanted to talk about that day. And that's what we're doing today. Um, just a quick overview. I know we have the NBA starting, and I have some strong opinions on overreactions. And so I just wanted to go over a few of those today. If you didn't watch the Spurs Mavericks game, it was a good one. I watched part of the Celtics Knicks game, and the Celtics are a problem, man. They're a problem. If Kristaps Porzingis can be your second or third best player and you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown playing well, you know what Drew Holiday is going to give you. You know what Derek White's going to give you. You know, for the most part, what Al Horford's going to give you. Whatever else you get from the remaining players off the bench, I think is a bonus. That team is going to be very good. And I picked them to be first in the East. We haven't really seen Dame with Milwaukee yet. They're playing right now. I have it on my other monitor here, them against Philly. It's early in the first quarter right now. So that's obviously something to watch, right? The Nuggets are a team to watch. The Suns with the big three, we haven't seen that yet with Bradley Beal's injury. But I'm hard pressed to think any team but the Celtics isn't going to be the favorite. The way you have a center like Kristaps Porzingis that the Celtics really have never had, who can play defense like Robert Williams did, maybe not as good, but pretty close to what Robert Williams did, block shots just as well as Robert Williams did, and then can be a somewhat physical force down low, which I think he struggled with earlier in his career, especially with Dallas, but also take those 3-point shots. Whew, he's going to be a problem, especially with guys who like to get to the rim, like Tatum and Brown, to be able to kick it out to a guy like Kristaps or have him come in on the pick and roll and the alley oop, whatever the situation is. I think that adds a whole nother element to the team. And I think it's the best situation Kristaps Porzingis has been in since he was drafted. The Knicks, yeah, they gave him the keys to the kingdom, and maybe he wasn't ready for that, especially in New York. The Mavericks, I don't think he was a great pairing with Luka, who we'll talk about in a little bit. And then he ends up with Washington. I think he had some career years there, but they're obviously not a situation that's set to win. I think this is the perfect situation for him to be able to make an impact on a winning team, and they're going to be a fun team to watch. Another fun team to watch. I watched pretty much all of the Spurs Mavericks game, and obviously the clout behind this game is over Victor Wembanyama, and he had something like 15 points. Not a great stat line in terms of overall production. He was in foul trouble literally the whole game. Like, he got onto the court, and then 30 seconds later, he got another foul and put it back on the bench. So his minutes were limited, but he showed the scoring flashes. He showed the ball handling flashes. He showed the elite defensive presence he can have, blocking a shot by Kyrie Irving, having an impact in other defensive possessions. But that wasn't the story of the night because of his foul trouble. He wasn't as big of an impact as the Spurs would have liked. They did get out to an early lead. Devin Vassell looked good. Keldon Johnson made some dumb mistakes over the course of the game, but that's everyone in the NBA. They make mistakes, and I'm confident he'll bounce back from that. He's a very good NBA player. But the Spurs looked like they had good key pieces. Jones looked good. Sohan looked good. But who stole the show was the Mavericks. Luka hit daggers at the end, key assists, getting Kyrie involved from the corner. And then their center, Derek Lively. This is a guy who, when the draft was coming around, right, the NBA season was getting wrapped up, I was hoping the Nets would target one of three players. It was Cam Whitmore, it was Derek Lively, it was Anthony Black. And Anthony Black ended up in Orlando. I don't know what the situation is there. Don't love the fit. I talked about that on our Eastern Conference preview podcast episode. Go check it out if you haven't already. Cam Whitmore dropped to a pick before the Nets 2 picks, ended up in Houston. Love the fit there. I think they got a steal. And Derek Lively went very early to the Dallas Mavericks, and I think he is the perfect fit alongside Luka. I think he should be their starting center. And you move Dwight Powell to the Dwight Powell. You move Maxi Kleba to the 4. You bench Jones Jr. I don't really find the huge benefit of him starting, but Derek Lively is a vertical threat that can take advantage of Luka's premier passing and Kyrie's premier passing. We don't talk about enough. He's a guy who can get all the rebounds. He's just a physical presence. I talked about this on the podcast episode recently, talking about Paolo Banchero and how he came into the NBA as an NBA player, right? He seemed like an NBA player when he entered into the league, and that's not often that happens among rookies. I mean, you look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, and that was his first NBA game last night in what is technically his rookie year, and he was humbled, right? Especially on the defensive end. But it takes a while for players to get accustomed to the NBA game, the size of the players, the physicality of it, the defensive impact, etc. But Derek Lively, similar to Paolo Banchero last year, and I'm not saying they're anywhere similar to the quality of player. He looks like an NBA center. He looks like an NBA player right off the bat. Elite verticality, elite rebounding. I think he could have a real presence for them and should be starting relatively soon for them, especially against teams who you kind of need a better physical force. And don't get me wrong, I love Derek Jones Jr. I think he's a great player in the right impact spots, but I think Derek Lively is the perfect center for that team right now. Also watched the Nets game. The Nets lost to the Cavs, and they should have lost to the Cavs, but the way they did it sucked. They had a 6-point lead with something like a minute and 30 seconds left, and a steal, a bad shot. Donovan Mitchell getting a three on a flop by Cam Johnson. And the Cavs ended up pulling that out. If Donovan Mitchell stays in Cleveland long term, I don't know what their future is. I've talked in the past about I think they should move on from Jared Allen and let Evan Mobley kind of take over as the full-time center. I don't know if they're going to do that, but Donovan Mitchell is a killer, man. And either way, that trade was a great one. Cam Thomas looked great as well for the Nets. But that's all I watched for the most part in yesterday's basketball. Just wanted to get some takes out there, some thoughts. Let me know what you think of Derek Lively's performance, what you think of the series, what you think of Donovan Mitchell, what you think of the Celtics. I should say the Knicks put up a good fight against the Celtics when Julius Randle shot poorly, especially in the first half. Jalen Brunson didn't have a great game. I think they put up a valiant fight against a team that's clearly better than them. So hats off to them. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Should we continue this series and kind of get some fired off takes without having a full podcast episode? Let me know in the comments below. Click the links in the description for all our content, and I appreciate it. Peace out.